Well, thank you everybody for being here, and this morning the HUD officials really appreciate you being here. Obviously the congressman who has been a key individual when a federal level on down, once a mayor, always the heart of the mayor, and again the team Springfield, to each and every one of you. Thank you. I can't sing the praise from cabinet heads down to the rank and file. We're down here now at Emerson White Park, which will soon house a beloved South End Community Center. I know Skip Rousseau's here on behalf of the board, and Coach Wes Jackson, which the South End Community Center will be in this area. We are looking for the Marble Street apartments, which I remember as a kid, which were tough areas with flooding when we coached and had food programs in the late 70s, 80s, to come down. We're going to work with HUD officials and the congressman and relocate those individuals to better housing. And configuration will occur, roadway areas opening up as we've done with Outing Park, the old Hollywood section opening up this area. And before I turn it over to congressmen and HUD officials, just the remarkable rebuilding and resiliency of the Springfield people that has occurred, because when we traverse from downtown and down the south end, as we go up Central Street, Brookings, East Forest Park, and 16 acres, it's just absolutely remarkable, all the rebuilding that has occurred. And it really came from a team approach. So a long way from those rescue to triage to stabilization to rebuilding. So today we market and celebrate the rebirth of the city of Springfield moving forward. And I just can't say thank you enough to everyone, because it really took a team effort. And many of us went with only a few hours of sleep for the first 3 months. And now we see the fruits of that labor and more to come. Everything is either rebuilt or shovels going into the ground. And before I turn to the congressman and I were very hopeful working with the diocese. Our goal is to get the Old Cathedral High School built on Surrey Road. So with that, I know we're going to have other stops, but let me turn it over to Congressman Neal.
Thanks. I think it was Mayor Sarno and his staff. I think it was your best moment in the time you've been in the mayor's office. When you consider the devastation that occurred within a matter of minutes, and the rebuilding effort that also occurred within a matter of moments. What we have here is an opportunity to examine the national principle. And the national principle says that if there's flooding in Houston, we all come to the aid of people in Houston. It says that if there's a fire in Missouri, as there were, you come to the aid of the state of Missouri. If there's a tornado in New England or a tornado in Western Massachusetts, we come to the aid of Western Massachusetts. We don't subscribe to the notion that there are red states and blue states upon sorts of national disasters. And I think that in this instance here, there's other considerations, including what I think is the great aspiration of human character and hope. When you consider the number of people who rebuilt, you can see that nobody said as you went house to house or street to street, too much government. And that's a very important lesson. The safety net was provided by the federal government, city government responded accordingly, and then you also balance that with the role of the private sector. The private sector reinvested and they stayed. And the government offered an underpinning, but it was people in those homes in East Forest Park who could have given up and gone on to other places or left. They didn't. They put trailers up on the site and they rebuilt those homes and they stayed. And I think that you have a national model here. And I think that the mayor, once again, meeting him on the corner of Union and Main Street, within hours of what had happened, I thought that he took a superb leadership role. And I think to those who staffed the mayor's office, what a great job you all did. And I think that in a time when we question the proportionality of the role of government in our lives, this is an example of the role that government played. And I don't hear anybody saying to me there was too much government.
Thank you, Congressman. And one thing, and we're joined by Frank Capuano, who's been a longtime stalwart, South End Community Center, South End Days, and his son, Chris Capuano, a left-hander, won the other night, too, which we, for the Yankees, but still we got to root for Chris. but Richie, Congressman will always say, when devastation occurs or there's emergency situations, people are quick to criticize public officials, but the saves that were made by our fire department and our police department, when everybody's running out of those buildings, running into those
exactly
buildings,
right.
And we just thank God that no one was killed in the city of Springfield. God works in mysterious ways. It hit at 4:38. If it had hit at 2:38, all our kids, including my kids, would have still been in school. Or if it hit at 4:38 in the morning, warning would not have been that quick. So we're lucky that no one was killed. Congressman alluded to the rebuilding, and we went down downtown. The businesses have been rebuilt. the devastated area of South End Community Center. Now it's $800 million economic development project with MGM and creating jobs. Central Street, you're going to see transformed. Market rate housing, Brookings School, and New Brookings School, and working with Springfield College. East Forest Park, as the Congressman alluded to, beautiful residential homes, rebuilt in 16 acres. So that's been a key, but it's been the people that have kept us going. And we've had great partnerships with HUD and through many other projects besides this, and we look forward to that partnership. And Christine, I'm going to turn it over to you for some words.
I just want to congratulate the mayor and the congressman and the city of Springfield on the remarkable rebuilding effort so far. I had the opportunity to come out when shortly after the tornado first hit, and the devastation was just unbelievable. And the little bit that I saw this morning, we're going to see a little bit more this afternoon, but the little bit that I saw this morning, the rebuilding effort is just absolutely incredible. And the mayor should be commended for his efforts. And I look forward to partnering with you on the rest of the way. And I'm looking forward to seeing the community center and the rest of the rebuilding effort. So thank you for that.
Thank you. She's got a good handshake. I'll say out of back. You know what? Why don't we open up to some questions? Because I'm sure that'll trigger some other comments here. And Kevin, you like to say a few words on behalf of the team?
Well, I think it's just a matter that we all got together, and I think you're going to see a lot more that's coming. I think Chris Cignoli and the DPW is going to be making some announcements about Central Street, Marble Street, and more is coming. So kind of keep the faith and stay with us, basically.
And again, to everyone involved, and from my direct staff, and I know Denise Jordan, others here, people who are not here, it says a lot, and the Congressman alluded to it, about leadership, and I'll use a sports analogy. When you're in that huddle and you're going to make those tough decisions, and sometimes right away, you really see the mettle of a person, he or she, and I cannot be more proud of the cabinet heads all the way down the rank and file that didn't ask any questions, would go 20 hours a day if we had to make sure that the residents and the business community had everything they needed. So we took a situation, and we were talking about it in the van, Congressman. In New England, maybe once in a while we think of a hurricane, maybe a blizzard. You never think of a tornado, but you know, we said what happened, we said what we were going to do, and then the most important thing on morale, hope that we're going to get through this together. So 4 years has passed, and the head of FEMA at the time that came down here, Chief Nick, and Denise, my mind went, she was fire chief.
Nick Rousseau.
Nick Rousseau, thanks. We did a meeting, we took it to the streets, and we went house to house, flyers, because with lines being down, we had a big meeting there. I'll never forget, he said, I've been to 80 natural disasters across the country. And sometimes natural disasters turn into man-made disasters because of poor management. He said, one day Springfield will be used as an example of how to address a disaster situation. And the last thing I'll say before we turn to questions, we took this to my developed Springfield Mass Mutual, who was very great when the Congressman said about private investment, which has come about. We took this as an opportunity not only to rebuild the tornado-ravaged area, we took it, let's look at the whole city, and 3,000 individuals participated in the plan on how to make Springfield better, which is the most in the city's history. So we've made a lot of progress. We still want to button up some things, but I cannot say thank you enough from the congressman, the federal level down, the state, Governor Patrick at the time, the National Guard, HUD, all the people on the city team, the first responders. You can just go on and on. We used to have our meetings with 38 reports first thing in the morning, then we hit the streets with medical officials, you name it, troubleshoot, and then go. Really battle tested, and we rose to the occasion, and I'm just proud of everybody in Team Springfield. With that, I'll open it up to some questions. We talked about South End Community Center is going to happen. You see the economic development. I think the only thing that is left besides some reconfiguration that we're doing and roadway and sidewalk, and I'll give it to the congressman, is the rebuilding. We worked very hard with the diocese, the rebuilding of well, it's not going to be Pope Francis High School, but Cathedral High School. That is the only thing where there has not been a definitive decision made. Everything else we have followed up on in a partnership from the federal, state level down, and local level. So that's about the only thing. And I want to commend my financial team. I don't think TJ's here. It was very important that we kept crossed the T's and dotted the I's, so we could make sure that we could account for every dollar that came in. But with that, I'll turn it over to Congress. I'd say Cathedral right now, but I'll turn it over to Congressman.
No, I think Story Road is still an issue that hangs out there. It looms large when you consider that on the 4th anniversary of the tornado, we're still waiting for a decision and a determination from the diocese. And where everything else seems to have been quite swiftly met in its responsibility in this instance here, I think that the time that's gone on, we all would agree, has been very difficult for the families that have to make those decisions. And a reminder of the role that schools play in determination of where people relocate, where they live. Those are decisions you frequently make at the grammar school level, and people absolutely make those decisions of residential use based upon educational opportunities.
I'll tell you one thing about normalcy. We want to do that immediately. We try to get our schools going quickly. And Pat Sullivan's here. His team did a great job. Two things that brought hope that people were so happy to see, and Chris Cignoli's here from DPW. The trees going back up.
Oh, yeah.
And street signs. Big morale. And you know, big morale boosters, going forward. So, but I don't, Kevin, if you have anything to say, Chris, on it as far?
Well, we need to get going. We're hoping about Hill Homes, one of the forest rebuilds that we have to do. We very much want that to happen. And that's been stuck a little bit, but that's, besides Cathedral, that's the only other thing.
And that would work the same way we did with other housing in that area. I mentioned in the van,
Yep.
and the Congressman was very helpful in that. Hickory Street, Springfield College is their rear area there. And what we did with some of the other complexes, now beautiful Brookings is there. We relocated these families to Jerry to better housing. So with that, so you're right, Kev, Cathedral and the Hill Homes.
Right.
I think they're the only thing.
Chris, do you have a date for that public hearing for Central Street?
We are looking for the end of June for public hearing for Central Street, and about the same time for Marble Street here as well. So we got to confirm it up this week with the neighborhood associations.
But again,
We're going to be extending Marble Street here. We obviously have issues with the apartment building, so once it comes down, Marble Street's going to be extended out to Central. Central Street is going to be completely rebuilt in the area of Hancock Street, Hickory Street, in that area too.
and I'll tell you, if you don't mind, what it means, Frank Capuano and Skip Rousseau here from the South End Community Center. Can I like them to come up and I know Coach Jackson here, but the South End Community Center, what has meant to this neighborhood and coming here, and the saves that you and Chase Swan made with the kids here. But Frankie and Skip, do you want to say a couple of words? Well, the neighborhood perspective. Frank, come on, left-hander, come on, left-hander.
Hi, Frank. Nice to Good to see you, pal.
Well, Frankie.
Frank and I grew up in the South, and we grew up on Wilcox Street together.
I married a Hunger Hill woman.
That's true. That's right.
She never worked and never will.
Congressman teed that up for you there.
But the South End Community Center saved my life, I think, because I could have been a kid in trouble all the time, and older guys, a couple of years older than me, Frank Capuano, used to make us kids go to the community center and come down to Emerson White here and play baseball with Joe Federico. But the South End Community Center, if we can save one kid, we're doing a good job, and that's what we're hoping to get this thing up and running. So,
but I'd like to echo what Skip had said as well too. It's this is very nostalgic. Just coming back here, I kind of grew up on this playground 100 years ago, and
Good ball
great spot for us, and it really kept us out of trouble. It's so nice to hear Congressman Neal and Mayor Sarno and Kevin Kennedy and the whole staff that's supporting this to rebuild. I think. Politics aside, as Congressman Neal was saying, it's when you have disasters, you don't think of politics. You think about the people and helping the people. And I think what they're doing is wonderful. I think the people down here, when I grew up down the South End, it was the Italians, French, and other ethnicities. Today it's the Hispanics, blacks. Same issues that I had. So the concern for those people shouldn't wane. It's so nice to see these guys putting forth the effort and getting the federal funds, the state assistance. It's just wonderful. It really makes me feel very good to see them going forth with these projects, especially the center down here.